guess it's been a roller coaster tour for you, mate. Can we start at the start and how that kind of unfolded with not getting picked in the first test?
Yeah, as simple as that. Just didn't get an opportunity. So something that I didn't expect coming here, but sometimes that happens. And I thought the way I was able to go through that week and prepare myself as just to be ready for another chance was nice to get it, I guess, as soon as like the next opportunity. And now I was trying to make the most of that.
How did the kind of conversation go when they told you, mate?
The conversations were robust, I guess, and everyone has different opinions. But look, I respect the coaching staff, the selectors, and I have a really, really strong relationship with them. So I think that's what made it the conversations the way they went, because I think there's respect both ways, and we're able to voice our opinions. And at the end of the day, I wake up the next morning, I'm still on tour playing for Australia. I still get to do what I love to do, and yes, I would have loved to be competing and playing, but there's another opportunity to support the guys the best way I could, to prepare the best way I could for another opportunity when it come. I felt like I was in a good space. I still feel like I'm in a great space. So it's just one week that didn't go my way.
When did you get told that you weren't going to play nationals?
The day before. So yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of, I suppose, all the work that you'd done, both, I guess, mentally and technically between Sri Lanka and here, did it take a couple of days to sort of refocus on that when you get your next opportunity? How did you sort of handle it?
I just fell back to that. I felt like my 5 days of prep were really good. I felt like, yes, there was a definite shift, change in the way I've played in the last period, in Test cricket especially, and I felt the way that I guess that approach, I didn't take that approach in past tours in Sri Lanka and Pakistan, and was excited about the opportunity to potentially bring that, I guess, more aggressive approach. But I also knew at the same time there's a balancing act between that, and I was excited about that. And I felt like the play I played the other day was a step forward in that direction. I would have loved to have done it in the previous series that I got the chances to do, but that's development, that's understanding, that's watching other teams go about, other players, and trying to learn on the go with not much experience in the subcontinent. So I feel like I'm in a good space.
Do you take a bit of confidence out of that second innings here and coming out playing the way you did, opening the batting?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like even the first innings, the way I played Ashwin, and to get out of pace means there's no head noise against spin early days in the tour, but that's one of the things that happens, I guess. But I was pleased with the short time I spent out there. They're extremely skillful bowlers. I was really pleased with the way I was going forward and back, and watching length and a few things that I've worked on. That it's a small sample piece, but over here small sample pieces can be a little bit of gold to hopefully push forward for the next 2 tests. So it's all about process for me. I think my process was right. The outcome will hopefully take care of itself over the near future.
You haven't opened a lot in first class cricket at all. Like, what was it like going out there and facing those bowlers on a tough wicket?
Bit different to doing it at Worcester. So I've done it a lot in one-day cricket. So I guess especially here is probably the one place that might be as close to one-day cricket as it could be, with a couple. Probably it's only going to swing for a few overs, and then and then batting's normally its best. So a little bit different fielding, and then going and stick the pads on. But I've always, I guess, being in the leadership role at home and having your mind on different things and that, and then all of a sudden finding myself with pads on and walking out to bat with not much thought about batting. I've always been able to, I guess, get around that and navigate that, and put my mind to it pretty easily. So going from fielding to walking out, I didn't find it as challenging. A bit different if you spend a full day in the dirt and you've got to spend a couple overs and go out and bat. But I enjoy the challenge.
You mentioned that aggressive approach that you've watched other people around the world and want to kind of take that on. What does that mean against in a place like India, where the conditions are different to Australia, different to other places you played? What are the things you had to change in your game to be able to do that here?
No, I think the aggressive approach means it puts me in a better position in my defence, and I think that I've seen that. I think Sri Lanka, and especially Sri Lanka when it was more spin friendly than Pakistan, but I found myself sitting on the crease a little bit and probably looking more to defend and then waiting to attack instead of here. I've come with the approach of I want to attack first and defend second, and I think when I do that in my game naturally, and I found that in Australia, that when I've looked to attack, my feet move better, I'm in better positions, and I defend the ball better, and I've always done that over my whole career. It's in times of trying to find runs or feeling out of form, and sometimes you go the defensive mindset, sometimes it's easy to go the other way, and it's a balancing act in your whole career to try to, I've ebbed and flowed and gone different ways, and one's very ultra aggressive, the next one's defensive, it's game, situational, it's everything, but my general mindset has been being more aggressive over the last 12 to 18 months, and I think that's put me in better stead in my way I've moved my feet, the way I've defended the ball. So much the same here, even though it's not swing and seam, it's spin. So, but same fundamentals.
And I've heard you talk a little bit about seeing Dad's ball and maybe taking a little bit out of that. Is there anyone in that setup in particular that you kind of took a little bit out of their game, or someone outside that setup as well?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. I've enjoyed, I guess, the ownership of the game, and I think that's what comes out of that. What they're doing in the England camp is that they just own their own space. I know that's one thing that we're huge on at the moment here, is about owning our space. Every individual is different, and everyone's going to go about it different ways, and that's what makes the team unique. That's what makes individuals unique, and that's what brings it all together. So, I guess the perceived role that I've got, I don't see it that way. I just see myself going out and expressing it and owning what I do and trying to own it the best way I can, and in the right space at the right time for the right team moment. So that's what I'm trying to do, that's what I'm trying to achieve. It's been working. Hopefully that can continue.
One thing, Trav, about I suppose, you're the first wicket to fall on the third day here, and then you sort of had to sort of sit and watch as the rest all happened. Like, how important in that, when the momentum's running very quickly against you, is sort of stuff like communication in the middle, the two batters together, having a chat, saying, let's try to get to lunch or get through the next few overs, that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, communication over here and stemming momentum is probably the most important thing we can do. The game can move extremely quickly in these conditions. I think we've seen that again in Sri Lanka, that we had a day like that as well, and those things happen in these conditions. A bit like England's the same. It can get overcast really quickly, it can be challenging, and you can lose 4 or 5 wickets in a session. So it's never ideal. You try and find ways. I think there's an experienced group, and you try to limit those days as much as you can. We haven't had many of them over a period of time. It's tough to try and gain momentum when the team's as good as they are, and they can exert that much pressure on you that it can crack. But it's a challenge for us over the next couple of weeks, is to try to, when we find ourselves in the moments, how can we draw it back? And I think there's enough experience in that room to know the right answers. It's about once it's a full stadium and there's noise going and there's wickets falling, that how we can draw that back.
Is it important as well to remember, even when you are under that pressure, that you're not alone out there, you've got a batting partner?
Yeah, 100%. And I think the communication that goes out from, you got the 12th man that run out, normally 2 of them that run out as well. So at some moments there's 4 of you out there at the same time. So I've always felt the support. I think the communication and the relationships that we've built is why this team's been so strong, and why this team stayed together for the period it has. So we're always going to have moments that it isn't the greatest or isn't the best we want it. Those things happen, so we've got to accept them, but we've also got to find a way to get better at them. So to try and limit them as much as we possibly can, because no one wants them. So pretty obvious stuff, but it's about making sure you can't really emulate it in training. You've got to be able to do it in the game, and that's when it's the most important time to do it.
And obviously a tough time for Pat. You guys all got told about that yesterday morning, that he won't be back for indoor. Just your, I suppose, thoughts on how the team forges on and supports him at the same time?
Yeah, we're a close group, so I think a lot of guys have reached out to him. It's a hard period for him, and he's got the full support of all of us. He's got a lot of close friends here, so the limited conversations that we've all had probably with him, it's always a hard moment. So and we fully respect and we expect him to be at home. That's the thing. Life's a bigger thing than cricket. It's more important for him to be at home than he being here, and we'll truck on and find ways as a team to, 1, support him, and 2, to get on with the job here.
With Dave going home as well, I mean, have you been told that you'll open for India?
Nothing confirmed. We've got a fair bit of time before the next test, so having spent a fair bit of time here, and I think everyone's looking forward to moving on. One more session here in Delhi, and then we go to indoor. So those conversations. I think we got two really big we got a big session today, fly, and then two more big ones before we play, I believe. But yeah, just so those conversations we had over the next 2 or 3 days probably.
And is it the kind of thing opening? You feel like that's something you'd do over in India? Like it's not something you'd be putting your hand up to do in the Ashes kind of thing as well?
Honestly, mate, after missing out in the first test, I'd play about anywhere that the team needed me to get a game. So I've always said that. I didn't come here expecting to be opening the batting last innings, and but yeah, whether it's opening batting or batting at 5, I've got to find a way at both of them if needed for the team. So I'll put my head down, sit my butt out, and try and do the best I can for the team.
All good. Thanks, boys.
Yeah, excellent.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Cole.